It's alive.
That's
I
fine.
love your guys' intro though.
Here we go.
Yeah. So welcome to Purchase Corner. I got Center Ice Card Cast with me, Eric and Aaron. They're going to be joining the show. We're going to talk a little hobby, a little collecting. We were just kind of mentioning the Wayne Gretzky rookie card, which is a holy grail I would love to have. I do not have one, and nor does my dad, who's been collecting for a long time. Does not have one. Shout out to Hoser Cards. He's a huge collector, one of the fastest growing short ripping channels around. This is a really great guy, really good buddy of mine. And he's a huge hockey fan that lives in California. So shout out to Hoser. But speaking of that, Gretzky, I met up with a fellow YouTuber who rips cards named Budget Rips. And there we go. It looks like he used to watch you guys. All right.
Well, we're still around. We're still around.
I'm kidding. That's great. It's always nice to see a fan.
We'll get him back on the train here. I know he's got a busy schedule with his channels and everything. So yeah, I met up with this gentleman named Budget Rips, and oh hey Julie, she's a huge collector, big Minnesota fan. She's a absolute gem in the card community. She's always sending out packages to Australia, to the Netherlands,
awesome.
To here in the States, to Canada. She's an absolute amazing person in the community. So yeah, appreciate you popping by, Julie. This guy had a Wayne Gretzky rookie in his showcase. So I was like, I'm really interested in that. And he's like, just so you know, it's a reprint. I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm really okay with that. So I picked it up. He had a price on it. I negotiated it, just obviously since it's not a real one, but
it's still a great looking card. I have a couple of reprints myself.
Do you? Yes.
They're nice. So, not of the Gretzky, but I have like a Patrick Waugh, I think, and a couple others. They're nice cards. I think I have like a Bobby Orr as well. Like,
okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
They look the same.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
You can't go wrong with it. I mean, I think from the comparison, what's up, Papa Bear? Big sports fan there. He's a Bobby Witt Jr. He's more baseball. I'm trying to get him into some hockey, but like the back of it really does have that color match to the year.
It's scary good. It's scary good.
Yeah. Whereas I've seen ones that are like really white, and like you can see by hold it up real close. I mean, you can see reprint, but I'm totally cool with it because it's a really hard card to come by. What's up, Alex? Big Toronto fan here. Leafs, Jays.
And the Toronto guy. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so yeah, I picked that up. I thought it was a great.
We both do, but yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
All right. And one's a Jonas Enroth collector.
That would be me.
Oh, he's a good goalie.
Yeah, he's still kicking. He's still playing in Sweden. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. Hopefully he has another year left in him or so. We'll see.
Okay. All right. I brought no, did I make oh sweet. Oh, see, Hoser Cards is gonna like that. He's a huge LA Kings and Ducks fan, so but yeah, I picked up that card. I thought it was great. There is a gentleman at the monthly card show that does have some real Wayne Gretzky rookies, and I don't know. I think they're pretty fair price. So I think his lowest price one is 600, and the most expensive he has is 12, which I think is very
fair. I mean, yeah, you'd have to see the cards in person, but I think it's pretty fair.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obtainable if you're looking to get, a rookie card. He did bring some Bobby Orrs one time, like actual rookie card Bobby Orrs. And I was absolutely, kind of blown away. I walk past his booth all the time and I'm just like, one day I'm going to do this and I'm going to pick up this card and have it in my PC. It's a must have. And even my dad tells me all the time, he's like, Ryan, if I would have known, I would have gotten so many when when you were growing up as a kid and I just missed out. I'm like, hey dad, like it's no worries, trust me, I know, because I'm the same way I'm a huge Sidney Crosby collector, and
Oh yeah.
I started getting back into it in about '06. And so same kind of situation. I missed out on his young gun and Ovechkin, who I PC as well. And I missed out on it too. And knowing
Same.
what it is now, I could have picked up a ton.
100%. I think every, whether it be, any hobby really, but I think, hockey, for example, each generation, we always kind of miss out on, what could have been, whether that be, a card from our PC we missed out on, now we can't find it, or, the cards that are everywhere, but we just can't find it at the same price point that we once could 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that, we all have it, same thing with the Crosby. I don't have a young gun. I would have loved one for my collection, but now you're kind of paying through the nose if you want one, which is fair. I mean, like Sid's done so much great things, and it's fair, from a market perspective, but it's tough to look at being like, looking at old prices and seeing, what once was.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Alex, the reprint, I think I talked him down to like $10, which I thought was fair. I comped it, last one sold on eBay. So I try not to get too much into that, but yeah, I ended up comping. I thought it was a fair price. So I ended up and paid for it. Yeah, Hoser has not only a PSA 10 Crosby, but he's working on getting an Ovi as well. So we got some serious collectors in the chat right now, which is pretty amazing. But now with the new series, with them coming out with the reprints, like, what's your guys' thoughts on that? Because if I brought all my boxes out so I could easily access
Yeah, do it.
the Crosby one. So let me grab that real quick. And I ended up picking up a reprint or the renewed, because I thought it was the best way that I could get him into my PC. So I'll take it.
That's great. Yeah, I love the designs they used. On one of our recent episodes, Billy actually, explained kind of the thought process behind those cards and kind of how that set came to be, which is really cool. Yeah, they're really nice cards, and depending on who you pull, it sells pretty decent. The checklist, when I was looking through it, it's pretty deep. You got some names on there, like obviously you got your Crosbys, but you got some nice names on there too. A bit of everything, really, which is really cool to see. I'm excited to see, what other players make the list. If they decide to do this again, yeah, it'll be really cool to kind of see that set evolve. I think it's a great idea, and I think collectors are responding to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really cool idea. Didn't realize McDavid was in it until Ziri ended up pulling the silver outburst of the card. And when I told Billy like that, he's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." He pulled the McDavid young gun silver outburst, which is absolutely insane. What's up, David? Thanks for joining, big Nashville collector. I may. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Julie, that it was going to be in series 2.
That's correct.
And that's what I was thinking, because I looked through the checklist. I'm like, hold on, McDavid's name's not here. Like, I know it'll be in either, series 2 or extended. But I may have done something silly. So I made a trade this weekend. And here's another example. This is Alexander Semin, which when I was ripping it, I thought I pulled Ovi. I was so excited. I made a trade for some of them, and it was about six cards that I had pulled. I do want to collect the whole set because I put together last year's set, and I'll probably try and do the same this year since it's at a pretty fair price. I do like ripping cards, but I think at some point it'll kind of change into buying the cars I want. And I don't know if that's kind of what you guys do, but I think that's kind of the goal that I'll have moving forward. But yeah, I let go about 6 of them. but I got a Malkin auto card in return. So I thought
Not
it was a
bad.
pretty fair trade.
Not bad.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's just a base card. Oh, what's up, Zach?
Thanks for the sub.
That's really awesome, Zach. Thank you. Yeah, Aaron and Eric are awesome. You definitely got to check out their show. How many times do you guys go per week?
It really depends. I mean, we try, there's some periods where we try for like once a week, but sometimes we'll get an episode out like maybe once a month. It really depends on our schedule, so it's kind of all over the place. But we try, every couple weeks, to have an episode there and not have too much dead time. But it really depends on our schedules. We've been doing pretty good the last little while as far as some good content. So I'm sure people will enjoy it.
And how did you guys ultimately meet, and what really brought you guys together?
I'll let Eric take that away. I think
Yeah.
He's the one who kind of had this idea, so I'll let him kind of roll with it there.
Yeah, I mean it's a funny story because we have not actually met in person. I live down in the States in Indiana, and Aaron is up in the Toronto area in Canada, and so we've never actually met in person. But just kind of have been familiar with each other on hobby forums online, like Hobby Insider and Sports Card Forum, and Klutz and Chara back in the day when they had an online forum as well. And that's probably dating back at least 15 years, I would say, at this point.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, we kind of just always interacted that way, and would see each other's posts and message back and forth every now and then. And kind of just, I don't know, I feel like we have a fairly similar outlook on the hobby, especially kind of through those years. So then when COVID hit in 2020, I just kind of had the idea of, well, we don't really have anything going on, like maybe should try to start some kind of a podcast or something, because at the time I knew there were podcasts for other sports, but there weren't really many, if any, hockey card podcasts. So yeah, I just kind of thought about it, and true, Blowout Card Forum as well. Good call on that. And even like the Beckett boards way back in the day.
That's dating it.
Yeah, for real.
We're still around, by the way.
For real. True. So just kind of thought, this might be a fun thing, but I'm not like the most like socially outgoing person, so I knew I wouldn't want to do it on my own. So I was kind of thinking, like, who could I ask that would be interested in doing this that I feel would be a good fit? And Aaron came to mind pretty quickly, just again, like having that familiarity with each other and kind of knowing that we had a similar outlook on the hobby. We're pretty close to the same age. I think Aaron is maybe like 2 years older, something like that. We're close. So yeah, I just floated the idea to him through a private message on one of the forums. Just said, hey, like, have this idea. Let me know what you think. Don't really have anything in mind or anything, but just let me know what your thoughts are. And it took a little bit of convincing. He was a little hesitant at first, but after, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks or something, you came around to the idea.
I had to think about it.
So yeah, so that was spring of 2020, and I think our very first episode came out like June 1st of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've been going at it ever since.
We have.
That's amazing.
I remember we had like, I think 1 or 2 before we even decided to like do it and like record something. I think we had like 1 or 2 meetings, I think it was, and it just kind of just talking. What do we want this podcast to be? I mean, it's never going to align 100%, when you map it out, because, you have guests on that, or, you're going on people's shows that you didn't really plan on or anything like that, as far as like promotion and things like that. But, you kind of have a vague idea of what you want it to be and what sorts of things you could talk about. And I think we were, like Eric was saying, like pretty aligned in that sense. And we're like, okay, cool. I guess we're doing this, now that I've kind of heard his end out and I've, put forth some ideas, and we kind of, met in the middle and said, okay, cool. Like this sounds great. Then I was like, cool, then let's do it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love that you guys kind of knew each other beforehand and decided to come together. I think that's a pretty awesome story. Now, as far as, you know, when you guys first connected, was it something that you were collecting, you know, single cards, or are you guys rippers? You know, what's your, I guess, overall kind of aspect of the hobby on that sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know at least for me, it has definitely kind of been a journey to find what that, kind of niche is, so to speak. And I know we did an episode kind of talking about that, kind of directed at newer collectors, trying to help them figure that out. But I started collecting in 2003, so I was whatever, like 7 or 8 at the time. So I obviously didn't have like a super specific goal or like anything in mind. It was kind of just like, I love cards. I just love having cards, picking up new cards, whatever, like anything is interesting to me. So it was kind of directionless at first. And I mean, what collector, but especially a kid, doesn't enjoy opening packs and boxes when they can? So yeah, like Aaron and I were even talking about this the other night after we recorded our last show. But I remember going to the National and saving up money all year just to be able to buy a handful of boxes or whatever, because you could get decent boxes back in the day for 30 or 40 bucks.
Mhm.
So if you brought $100, $200, you could have a blast. Whereas obviously it's a little bit different nowadays. But yeah, so I mean, in the early days, it was kind of more just to enjoy every aspect of it. And then kind of started getting into player collecting around like 2007-ish. And for a stretch of like a year or two, kind of rotated through a few different guys, and then would sell off their stuff and then start a different guy, sell off the stuff, start another guy. So it's kind of just this endless cycle that wasn't overly fulfilling. And then probably in like late 2008, I would say, I started collecting Nicholas Hjalmarsson, who most people know for his time with the Blackhawks, of course. And yeah, that kind of like really started to define, kind of my collecting goals. So, and I still collect them today. So, yeah, kind of at that point, really started to hone in a little bit more specifically on kind of the type of collecting I would do. Would still collect other things and would still open boxes here and there. And then leading up to today, it's much more targeting specific cards that I'm looking for. We'll open the occasional box here and there, but yeah, at this point, it's definitely more so just purchasing the specific cards I'm looking for.
I mean, for me, it's sort of similar. I mean, for me, as far as my collecting, I guess origins, it was the late '90s. As a kid, at that point, you collect anything and everything, right? If you had a look at my childhood kind of binder of cards, which was not really a binder of cards, it was just like an old photo album, which I just shoved the cards in there. It was a mess. I still have the binder. I covered it with stickers, but anyway,
Oh, that's awesome.
it is awesome and also sad. But it was a great a great memory bank as far as that binder and the cards inside. But yeah, I just collected kind of everything and everything. To start, you're a kid, and then it started to more define itself as far as my collection. This was probably 2005, 6-ish. You kind of start collecting, I guess, for real. Buying packs when you can, just at the local variety store or something. And then, collecting the goalies. And then I collected a couple goalies that I really enjoyed. Martin Brodeur, Ed Belfour, a little bit of flurries here and there. Just,
Mhm.
the legends or the soon to be legends of the game at the time. And then in high school, I got a small taste of, you know, player collecting on like a completionist level. At the time, I was receiving some goalie coaching by Mike Mole. I'm not sure if anyone knows who that is, but he was an old Belleville Bulls goalie back in the day, early 2000s. He also had a cup of coffee with the Islanders. So he was my goalie coach for a season. And I found out he had some cards and he only has like 30 something unique cards. So I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to try and find all of them. And so that gave me, a true taste of this is what player collecting is all about from, a completionist standpoint. You have X amount of cards. It's somewhat reasonable to do and, have at it. Let's see how close you can get. And you don't really get there with, Ed Belfour or, Marty Brodeur. They just
Mhm.
have so many different cards. I've seen people try, and I've seen some
Mhm.
very impressive collections of them both, of, pretty complete collections, all things considered, of those guys. But for me, and just, the finances built around collecting Hall of Famers at that
Yeah.
level, it's just not something everybody can do. And so, I was at a point where, okay, I know I want to be a player collector, but I want a player that is someone who's going to get a decent amount of cards, but they're not going to break the bank. And again, same thing around high school. This was around 2010. Um, Jonas Enroth kind of came onto the scene in a big way. He won his first NHL game against my Toronto Maple Leafs. And ever since then, just seeing him play, I'm like, man, like that's the guy who I want to collect. And as a goalie myself, I really kind of saw myself in a sense in his style of play, as, the smallest goalie in the NHL for a number of years. And, just all around seemed like a, good guy. So I decided, you know what, this is it. I'm going to go all in on this guy's cards. And that was, 2010. So it's been over 10 years now. So it's been quite the journey. But as far as ripping, again, same thing with Eric. I used to do a box here and there, but, for now, I just focus on the single cards. I'll pick up some nice goalie cards now and again, but it's basically, exclusively Jonas Enroth for the most part, as far as my collection habits, which, to some might seem strange, especially, maybe those entering in the hobby and seeing all the hype built around a few select players. But, the more you get into the hobby, this wonderful hobby, eventually you kind of find your lane, whatever that is. And I guess, this was my lane. So you kind of just embrace it and have fun with it.
No, I think that's amazing. I love your guys' perspective on that. And just gonna say what up to TCB, join the chat. Big Buffalo collector. So great guy. And then I know we had a question from Alex. Do they do card shows?
We go to them, but we don't set up a booth or anything like that. Unfortunately not, but we go to them. Ooh, Anthony Stolarz. He's an awesome goalie. I love the way he plays. He's a big guy, and he plays big too, which is fantastic. I mean, again, yeah, like as a Leafs guy, I love him. He's playing fantastic.
Yeah, and like my buddy Hoser Card says, like he he's a fan of multiple players, but again, trying to obtain like his goal is to get that PSA registry, which is
Oh
really
yeah,
cool. Something I'm very interested in
I love
with,
when
with
people do that.
yeah, with doing with my my Sid cards that I have, but ranks number one on Corey Perry. I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hoser, is that on the Yager you rank in the top three. I know you were at one point, but correct me in the chat. I want to make sure I get that right. But I was kind of doing the same thing. So I was ripping packs, and I still do. Obviously, it's a kind of um, nice main focus, I would say, of the channel. But what I realized in Yager and Fedorov are easy to tell. Okay, cool. I knew you were up there, and if in quite a few players. It just was slipping my brain. So don't uh don't drag me down there, Hoser. um I realized that I had a really decent collection of Crosby and Ovi. And I then made it a challenge for my own self. And here's two guys that are absolutely crazy expensive on high-end cards, but I have such a love for them. I had to go for it. So I really started to concentrate on those two players. I have other subset players that I collect: Patrick Kane, McDavid, Matthews, of course, Gretzky, Lemieux, Howe, couple Bobby Orrs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How
but
many
my
Sid
bunch of
cards do you
scrubs.
think you would have? Roughly?
yes, yeah. So it's crazy, and that's part of this amazing community. So I want to give them a huge shout out because ever since doing kind of this YouTube journey, we do like sharing cards with each other. So honestly, I wouldn't be where I'm at without them, and that's the kindness of their hearts to send them to me, and I'll send them PC cards. So in total, I haven't done a recount, but I'm for sure over 350 cards of Crosby.
That's really impressive. Again, considering that player, the type of
Yep.
player that he is, it's an
Yep.
impressive number, for
Thank
sure.
you.
That's wonderful.
And then about 250 or more of Ovechkin.
Nice.
And then,
Fantastic.
yeah, thank you. I am not one to chase patch autos and things of that nature. Again, keeping budget in mind. I told you guys I have a family. I think it would be irresponsible as much as I want to indulge on those cards. I am huge into collecting their base, their insert, and yes, whatever affordable patch I can find. Nothing crazy, of course, but
I love that.
try.
I really love that. I've seen that done. I mean, I've seen people do that in hockey too, but more so in baseball, because I think just over the years with select players, I think they've just got a whole bunch of cards. Um, when comparing the two, baseball players would end up with a lot more cards. So I've seen people just go crazy
Yeah.
on, the base and the inserts cards. And especially if it's like, say, a Hall of Famer, they can span that collection out 20 years and they have just a whole, like, look at their career. And it's kind of
Yep.
cataloged with cardboard. Just through the base and inserts alone and cool parallels and things like that. So, I mean, I totally respect that. And for those legends of the game to sort of catalog their careers through cards that way, forgetting, the autos and memorabilia, just it's still so impressive. And, I've seen people do it in other sports, a little bit in hockey. But yeah, if you were to do that, I mean, it's seemingly still an endless collection that you can
Yeah.
keep adding to year after year and not break the bank. And
Yep.
it's hey, like, I commend you.
Thank
It's
you.
a tough go because they
Yeah.
have so many cards, but
Yes.
it's I'm sure very rewarding when you can sort of narrow down certain year. It's like, okay, I'm close to this, completing this year's base run or something like that,
Yes.
and it's very, like, I could see that being very rewarding. So that's really cool.
Thank you. And one fun thing I like to do with each of those players is if Sid has a card and Ovi has the same card, I like to get those as well. So, especially like last year when they really changed the format to the 3 inserts per pack in series 1, 2, and extended, I have the full run, except for the obviously the really hard ones to chase are going to be deluxe exclusive.
Yeah.
I have no one-on-ones from those sets. Those are just way out of my league, but I have the whole run from start to finish of each player. The only one I'm missing for Ovi is just a base silver outburst, which I plan to get at some point. But I'd like to make that kind of a fun thing to do. Is
It's
if
cool, like collecting full runs. I mean, maybe not every parallel, but at least you can get, half the parallels or something. So you've completed, like, up to a certain extent, the run for this product, that product, whatever, this year or something, like down the road. And that's really cool. So keep us updated on that. That's really, I like that stuff. I think that's cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So one fun set to do has been this year's Allure. So I've been able
Great
to
looking
get
cards.
I would say it has to be my set for the year. That's my pick. That's my personal pick. I've been following Allure when it was way underrated from past years, and I've got some decent cards in the collection of Sid and Ovi for Allure. And this year I kind of went all out. I got Glitter Bomb for Crosby. I got the confetti, yellow taxi, the color flows. Like I don't know if I'm gonna finish the complete color flow because I like the idea of, and I showed it on the show I'm on Saturday night. Spine Ticks is what it's called. And I've also was showing it to Billy. Is I like taking your favorite players, and if you have some within the last couple of years, and then making them the color flow. So one of
Oh,
each
that's
player.
cool. I've never
Yeah,
seen that done before.
I should have taped it up and had it ready for you guys. I
Oh,
I
it's fine.
honestly
It's
didn't
great
think about
though.
it, but I think that's the way to go. Because blue purple is so hard. I've noticed some cheaper ones lately, of Sid. So I could essentially complete his color rainbow. I think I might do it. We'll kind of see, but I like the idea of having like Crosby. Ovi's not in the set, which is unfortunate. But McDavid, Matthews. I got Adam Fantilli, blue purple. Of course, I pulled like 4 Bedards. So I pulled 3 red, orange, and then 1 yellow green. So I did really well with him. But it's just a cool kind of fun thing to do and be a little bit different instead of have, the same player. Why not switch it up, man? Have
It
your
is
favorite
cool. It
players
is
in
cool. I
there.
will admit that is cool. I've never heard of anyone doing that before,
Yeah.
so that is a new one for me, but I definitely support it.
And as far as, so we know that you collect Jonas Enroth and Vermalka. Who are maybe some other guys that you chase, or do you pretty much stay in that lane for right now as far as collecting goes?
Yeah, so Enroth would be the big one. The odd time I'll pick up, a nice Brodeur card or Belfour, and then Marc-Andre Fleury as well. Aside from that, I mean, just the odd goalie card that I really, catches my eye, or I really enjoy it. But for the most part, I kind of stay within those lanes. And I'm okay with that. It's definitely taken a long time, like we were explaining off the top a little bit. It took me years to get to those lanes and be comfortable in it and content. And so I'm just kind of cruising in them, So that's it's good for me right now.
What about you, Eric?
Yeah, so I feel like most people probably know me for Nicholas Hjalmarsson, just because he's the guy I've collected for the longest at this point. So you see jersey right there.
Yep.
And on the other side, Jacob Slavin of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's actually a personal friend of mine. So I've collected his stuff since day one. So they're like the 2 main guys that I super collect. There's a couple of other kind of like quote unquote lesser guys who didn't have as long or extensive of careers as they did, and don't have as many cards. So, but as far as kind of the more notable guys that I go for, super collecting, those are the 2. And then I'll go after like specific Fleury cards, and then also specific George Vezina cards as well.
Oh, very cool. Wow, that's a good one to go after. Yeah, as far, and we were kind of talking about how many cards, are typically with players. Yeah, I think when I did a little bit of research, like Crosby's got like 7,000 cards.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy. I didn't know it was that much. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a while since I looked at his card count, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. But
I believe
7,000 cards. That's
I believe
insane.
it's something like 7,000. I could be off by a little bit, but I'm pretty sure the last time I looked, I was like, well, okay. Realistic goal, in the next few years with just a lot of the cool sets that come out that are affordable, or affordable base or insert, I'll say 600 would be a nice goal personally for myself, especially if Sid. Ovi I would love to try. I think with this year and kind of what he's doing and getting off to the start that he is, I think the value will go up. It'll obviously have a drop off, but his cards will be a little bit more hard to obtain, I think, in the long run. So
I think so. And especially, sorry to interrupt you, I just
No,
looked
you're
it up
good.
on Trading Card Database. So on here, Sidney Crosby, and like I know here they don't have all the cards that he
Yeah.
has, but a fair bit. So he has a smidge over 9,500 cards.
Holy smokes!
So
I was off by like
2,000,
$2,000.
2,500.
Jeez,
Yeah, I didn't know it
that's
was that
so
much either. So
insane.
like
I mean, it
basically
keeps growing though. I mean, every new product
10,000
it keeps
cards
growing.
by the time he's retired,
Yeah.
probably, which is
Oh, wow.
crazy.
Right.
So if you can get like
Oh,
I would wonder if there's a way to kind of, it would take forever, but find out how many base or insert cards he has and
Yep.
just, okay, this is my list. It might seem insane, but this is my list. Let's see how far I can get. That
Yeah.
would be a really,
Yeah.
an amazing feat. Like to
So
get
I
half.
have, yeah, no, 100%. So I have some rookie cards of him. So I just don't have the young gun. So I do actually have some rookie, but I
Nice.
pretty much I have him and Ovi sorted by year. So
Okay.
and even a couple the prospect cards, I have a couple of those as well. So pre NHL, but basically from 0506 to 24-25 is how I have it currently in my storage box. So I keep adding as many as I can. The hard thing though, and maybe you guys have a system on how to do this, and trading card database is probably the way to go just to print out the list. But I go through my cards pretty consistently, right? So I appreciate you stopping by, TCB. I really do. And Papa is remembering what card I have. And that is what gets me. I've bought some duplicates and I always like, oh man,
Well,
like that's
I
not what I
mean,
want to do.
I don't collect Crosby and
Yeah.
the cards you must have to kind of sort through in person or online must get pretty extensive. So I can't speak from that level of collecting, so to speak, a Hall of Famer. But for my collection, I actually have, a website that I've kind of put up all my cards. And so if I'm kind of wondering, what I have now, I have a fair, good handle on what I have versus I don't have. But at the start, it was something where I could sort of put up a want list on this site, put up year by year, the cards I have, and just sort of catalog and sort of keep track of my collection that way. So,
Wow. I
that's been
love that.
something that, yeah, it's it's been something I've been doing for the past couple years, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, and it's been a good way to keep track of everything, and visually see the collection too, which is half the fun.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
What about you, Eric?
I am nowhere near as organized as Aaron is, at least on a technological standpoint. I just have a Google Sheets spreadsheet that every new release that comes out, I'll add those cards onto the list. So at least I know what's out there, what I have, what I still need. I've made the joke with people. I really enjoy scanning my cards, so I do have imagery of them, but I'm probably about 3 years behind on scanning right now. So it's just
It's
too
a tough go.
It is, and I'm very, very OCD about like getting rid of all of the dust particles on every scan. So it's just not even feasible for me to do it anymore. So pretty much at this point, I just scan the most notable stuff and the stuff that we show off on our show. But yeah, so at least I have a spreadsheet for each of my guys that I keep pretty good tabs on, and
Okay.
kind of just go at it that way. But yeah, maybe one day I'll have a website like Aaron and be super official, but not yet.
No, I love the website idea. I think that's an amazing way to kind of keep track of that. I find that to be really cool. And yeah, scanning your cards to have an actual physical picture instead of me who's rummaging through the box, and I try and keep them in order. And sometimes I'll buy, I don't know if you guys ever used Whatnot before, but I found this one guy on there that's not like crazy big name or anything, and he does it with his grandson, and he used to own a sports store and retired, but has all his cards, moved closer to be with family, and he'll literally start cards at $2, and some won't even be touched. So you can get a really nice auto or patch for $2. Like I didn't have a ton of autos in my set, but I've added to it because Eric Stahl Mini Champs, which is one of my favorite sets.
love those. They're so cool.
It's
They're the best.
one of my favorite sets of all time is Champs Hockey. And so like Eric Stahl, Luke Shen, who I absolutely love, miss him in Toronto.
He's the best.
Wish we would have kept him when we had him again. And
I know, he was great.
I was so bummed when they did that.
They let him go again.
Yeah, it's like,
What
what
was
are
that?
you doing? He's a key veteran defenseman that I've always loved. So I ended up picking up his card for $2, and I collected this set myself. So, you know, I got a decent amount of mini cards, which is weird. In those sets, like I pulled a Jerry Rice jersey patch. And when I pulled it, I was like, wait, hold on. Because I didn't know, like, it was new at the time. So you just didn't know like what was in there, right? So I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty legit. Like, he's one of the greatest of all time in football, so I'll take it. But a ton of, you know, mini cards that I pulled of just absolute legends. And so yeah, I've been able to pick up some cards that way, but I always make sure like I look. What I do now specifically is he'll set them aside. Any OV Sid, he'll private message me because he knows I usually scoop them up. Hey, I have this, and this year. And that way I can look it up and make sure I'm not buying duplicates. So he's really done some extra work himself to help like me out too, which is really cool. And, you know, because I'm always on the search for Crosby and Ovi cards when I go to the card show specifically. And that's how I've been able to get some 0506 for $1 through this one guy. I'm like, this is rookie year though. Like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, of course. And you know, he's so willing to work with me because no one else buys him around here. Like, he's kind of hated here in Detroit. Like, for
That makes
many
sense.
years, yeah, many years they called him Crybaby, and I always like defended him. Like, well, you know, he's young. He's the captain. It's kind of what you got to do. You got to talk to the refs, get the call to go your way. I mean, that's the job of captain, assistant captain.
It
Like,
is.
let's be real. I think it was just jealousy. Winning the cup in 09.
100%.
Yeah. But I've seen you guys, like, I know that when you had Billy on, you had ripped some new product, and I think that was Eric doing it. And I'm wondering, Eric, if you pulled this and noticed this. So I was ripping retail the other day,
You
and
talking Series 1, just so I...
Series 1. Yep. Series 1, 24, 25.
Mhm.
And so I ripped open some retail. So I've done 2 hobby and now 3 retail. I've done the mega box, the oversized young gun, and then a regular box. So I like to do a review of each. And then if whoever watches decides that they want to do the same and take whatever risk or gamble, however you want to say it, then they know what's going to be in it, right? So I pulled the Green Dazzler, and
Great cards.
great cards.
Bobby McMahon.
Bobby McMahon. I was so shocked when I pulled it that when I was at the card show, I had to get the blue one to go with it.
Gotta get the blue. Gotta go for the full thing.
I got to go for the full thing now. And like, I have to. It's like a must for me. Yeah, so I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, Dazzler, much improved.
They're
Like,
beautiful. Yeah.
Great
card. I've always liked them, but I really love the design. Yeah, exactly, Hoser. Taste the rainbow. He's been ripping Series 1 on his shorts, and he's been doing really good. He's always asking me, you know, what he's pulling, and I try and give him the best info I can. But I've pulled some nice stuff out of there. Retail, I thought, was pretty solid. So if you guys are looking for, not so much for Aaron, because Canada stinks for buying
Yeah,
cards.
the prices are just
Yeah,
terrible. So
insane. Whereas
yeah,
Eric and I, Walmart,
not too bad.
$24, right? Whereas like costing you guys like 40, 50, which
It's
is
like
insane.
the taxes in, it's like over $50. So
Oh,
that's a no bueno for me.
no.
Back in the
Yeah,
day, it was worth like maybe a shot.
yeah,
Even if it was a little bit on the pricey side, you get like,
sure.
5, 6 young guns, whatever it is. And then, but now with the, configuration changes, it just doesn't really make much sense. So,
Yeah.
but it was a good run. It was a good run.
So I wanted to bring something up before we kind of got into some of our top cards here. So, and maybe you've heard of this gentleman, maybe not. Um, but I had discovered through, of course, Instagram, this gentleman named Glenn Barracuda.
Oh yeah.
Who-
Shout out to
um,
Glenn. He's a good guy. We've known
Shout
him for
out
a
to,
while.
have you? Shout
Through
out
the
to
forums
Glenn.
and stuff. Oh yeah, he's a good guy.
Okay. Glenn is amazing. I don't know if he watches a ton of this stuff, but hopefully if I share it with him, I've been trying to have him on as a guest and he's agreed. I'm just trying to lock down a day because I think it'd be very interesting. So I got a card for a friend, and then I got myself some cards. And so I'm curious on where you guys stand on this, and I'll show you what I had made from them. And I picked one up for my dad. So first card we'll start off with is his stained glass.
Oh
It's
yeah,
hard
I've
to
seen those
see,
before. Yeah,
but
a really cool
beautiful card,
concept. I like that.
and love that design, love the patch. The next card I had him make was one of his matchbooks,
Oh
and
yeah,
I got
look at that.
Crosby, McDavid, and Gretzky. And this one I haven't actually folded up, so I've kept in
Yep,
the top
yep.
loader he gave me.
Such a
And
great
then
card.
it is. And then my ultimate one that I had to make me was a Sid and Ovi card. So heroic crests. So some stats on the back of each player. And then their rookie shot.
Oh, that's great. Good touch
And
there.
then, yeah. And then he
Ooh.
made me, I asked
Oh,
for
I
a
love
101.
the patch windows being the logo. That is cool.
Yes.
I don't know if I've
Yes.
seen that before, or if you do, you've seen it like the same thing mimicked on both sides. But for
Yeah.
this one to be different is awesome.
Yes. I asked
Oh, and you have the
for
little autograph rendering there.
yeah,
That's cool. That's
true
cool.
101. So I love it.
No one
It
else
I
is getting
think
it.
no. I think what would be really cool, and it'll be extremely hard for Ovi, but maybe obtainable one day for Sid in the future, is actually get their autos on that card. I think
That
it'd
would be
be
cool.
it's what's the what's the word I'm looking
Like
for?
a pipe dream.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pipe dream. I realize that. But
You can dream though.
hopefully one
It's
day,
pretty
yes.
cool.
So what's your guys' take on that? Did you think it's something cool to add to your PC and not so much think about it in a value sense, or what do you guys kind of think?
Yeah, I mean, I know we both have customs from Glenn in our
We
collection.
both have stuff from Glenn, so we're totally in on this camp.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can probably send you over a picture or something after this. But yeah, we've been familiar with Glenn's work for a while. I actually was just at the expo last weekend.
And he was
And
there.
Well, he was there. I didn't run into him, unfortunately, but
Oh,
I did run into some of his work. I saw some of his booklets in some of the booths, which was really
yeah.
cool. Like I know he's been doing, the customs for a little while now, and to see it get so much like quick recognition in the hobby is
Yeah.
really something. And seeing people sell them at their, at their table is just really
Really?
something else. Yeah, I saw it. A couple booths had his
No
customs in it,
kidding.
and I'm like, that is amazing. I've seen custom
Wow.
cars before, but
Yep.
for them to go from this concept, I think he started making those. I want to say maybe late last year, or maybe it was like early this year. It's like pretty quick turnaround from having
Yeah.
this idea, and getting your name out in the hobby to, people are
Yeah.
picking up your customs and, trying to sell them and stuff like that, which I think is a real compliment, if you're asking me. So
I would say
yeah.
so. Tripollock, thanks for joining. Tripollock actually opens and rips historic cards, and because he's actually an educator, of history.
Nice.
So thank you for that, Tripolic. And I know he's always super kind and watches a lot of our videos in hockey. So I know he always appreciates a good card, but that's a custom card I had done. So I just wanted to kind of show him. No, I am in total agreement. You know, I got my dad a stained glass Wayne Gretzky, and it had like the oil drop was the patch. And I was like, oh my God, I have to have that, Glenn. I'm going to give it to my dad. I got Julie a card made. I just kind of reached out. She's a huge Minnesota Wild fan. I'm like, who's your like favorite 3 players right now or of all time? And so I got her a card made. I sent it to her, and I thought it'd be something really kind to do.
That
She's
is
given
nice.
me, yeah, she's given me a ton of cards and cards for the kids, especially like Lions. You know, my kids follow the Lions. I do too, but she gave them some cards, which is super kind. So I wanted to do something as a favor for her for being so cool like that. Now I got 5 cards here, but I'm going to let you guys have the.
Just
Yeah, go ahead.
touch on
Yeah,
one
please.
thing real quick. If Glenn does watch this, or if he's watching now or later, want to give him a huge shout out, because me being down in the States, I can't go to the expo, or I haven't yet. Would love to one day, but he actually went out of his way to grab a card that I saw. Somebody had posted a picture of their showcases at the show, and I saw a card that I had to have for my collection, and he actually went out of his way, got the card for me. And then we'll figure out a way to get it to me. But yeah, just a great gesture on his part to do that, and take time out of his day to do that. So huge shout out to Glenn for that. It's very much appreciated, because it's a pretty significant card for my collection. So
wow, that's amazing. That just shows you what
great
kind of character, yeah, he really has. And wow, that's amazing. I love that story. That's awesome, Eric. Well, he sends them well secured. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. He sends them well secured. I'm actually sending him some cards.
Nice.
Yeah. So he asked for a couple of the yellow taxis, and I also happen to have a couple Whalers cards in my collection, so I'm gonna send him.
He love those.
Oh yeah. I'm hoping he doesn't have it, because he seems like a pretty heavy collector. But
yeah, I think he's trying to collect like one of each Whaler card ever, like guys pictured in a Whalers uni. So
yeah,
that's a big undertaking. I think he has like 2 or almost 3,000 cards, something like that. I could be wrong on the number, but it's insane. It's a lot.
That's an in-depth collection. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I'm gonna send him that with a thank you card. Even if he watches it, he already kind of knows. It's Lon. It's the retail exclusive for Allure, and it's called Yellow Taxi, and it's almost like a cracked ice, but it's all like a yellow background. I'm trying to think of if I have. Let me see in my Crosby collection real quick if I can show you. See if I have it here, bud. Because I told the fellas I literally brought all my boxes out. So just depending on what we actually ended up. So this is what it looks like.
Those are nice cards.
It's beautiful card. Beautiful card.
Especially for Crosby with the team color match. Always a nice.
Yes. Yeah, kind of like the Glitter Bomb as well. This is 172 out of 199. Kind of has a nice color match there. So yeah, that's a card I definitely wanted in the collection. And like I said, I'm trying to do the whole run on that, see if I can get there. And I don't know, just trying to make it fun and challenging for myself, while collecting, but not breaking the bank at the same time. So you just put those back in there. But no, I know that you went to the expo, which I which I'm jealous, by the way, because I really wanted to go.
It's a fun time. Have you ever been?
No, never.
One day you'll go and definitely prepare yourself. It's the most cards you'll ever see in your life. It is, when you can blow your budget in the first aisle that you walk through. That's kind of what I did the first time I went, because you just don't you're not prepared. And it's just, I can't speak for every collector, but for the hockey guys, of course,
yes,
it's another world. I can't explain it. I can't explain it.
I think that's what would make me almost nervous about it, is that
it is a little bit daunting the first time you go. I remember the first time was just a blur, and then the second time you kind of learn a little bit and you're like, okay, I think I know what to do now to survive a show. It's crazy because
it's hockey card mecca.
At any booth you could spend a whole day. It's wild. It's wild.
And there's some people I would like to meet, there as well. Like having Jeremy Leon, I think it would be really cool to meet him. And
he's a great guy. He's really tall in person.
Yeah.
Like freakishly tall.
Yeah, he seems
a big boy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's really tall. So just
which is unfortunate for us because we're both 5'4". So
well, I'm 5'5", but
Okay, there you go. 5'9". So
we're all kind of short guys. So
he's like Jeremy, 6'5" or something, right?
Something like that. Yeah,
I was watching the Rip Party on the Gong Show, and he was towering over everyone in that room.
Oh yeah,
it's showing it live.
It's what he does. Yeah. It's his superpower.
Yeah, he was a great guest though. Very, very informative. But yeah, there's a few guys I would love to meet, and then just experience the show. Obviously, me and Eric get the National over here, which I would love to go. It's going to be in Chicago, so not far from you, Eric. Not really far from me either. I think it's something I would love to try and do.
It's worthwhile for sure.
Yeah. And you've been a couple times or just once?
Oh, I've been, I don't even know how many times I've been. Pretty much every time it's in Chicago, I'll go. So I've probably been to at least 7 or 8 nationals in Chicago.
Okay.
Yep.
Any interest in crossing the border and meeting up there?
I would love to go to the expo, you mean?
Yeah, or even for Aaron to come and meet you at the National.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, if he wants to make the trip.
That'd be intense.
It would be.
Yeah, it'd be 8 hour, probably 9 hours for you, Aaron, and then only about 5 hours for Eric to get to you. I think from Indiana.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Now, as far as I'm trying to remember, I know we talked about some stuff backstage. So if I'm forgetting anything, bring it up. So before we get to the 5-card thing, I think we touched on everything I kind of wanted to get from you guys. I'm pretty sure I kind of checked the boxes there. But what we were going to do is kind of show 5 cards. It doesn't have, like I said, in kind of the email, maybe 5 of your favorite or just 5 different cards, whatever. It didn't really matter. I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do. So let's see if I can work this properly. Who wants to go first?
I'll let Aaron go first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't have any cards to show per se, so it might be not the most visually appealing segment. My cards aren't with me right now. However,
that's okay.
I'll share 2 cards that I picked up at the expo, which some people might know about through our last episode that we just aired recently. The first up being it's kind of low end, but it's really fun. It's from the 1999-2000 Pacific Revolution, the Christmas ornament set. So that's Ed Belfour there. That's pretty cool.
I love it.
See the shine. You can see the string in the back. You can hang your Christmas tree. I had always known about these cards, but kind of vaguely. I never really looked up the set, but I've kind of always wanted one, and so I saw one at the expo, and I'm like, yeah, this is fantastic. It's definitely getting a spot on the Christmas tree this year.
I love it.
I actually ran into Ed Belfour. He was doing a signing at the show. So I got to see him for a bit. I'm a huge fan of his growing up, so it was really cool
It was more
to
that
see
he
him.
ran into you.
He almost ran into me, like literally, as I was kind of scoping out his signing table. These people kind of rushed by me, and I'm like, "Oh, like who are these people?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Ed Belfour. Okay, cool," which was really really cool. So, definitely really cool when you can, meet someone you kind of looked
Yeah.
up to as far as another athlete and all that good stuff. And then the card number 2 that I picked up, it totally destroyed my budget, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to do it.
Yeah.
So this is from 0304. SB Game used the limited threads of Wayne Gretzky. So
Oh yeah.
picture it as an Oiler, just really really cool. And I explained this.
Beauty.
Yeah, it's my first. Well, not my first, but my only game used card of Gretzky in my collection. And I explained it a little bit more in detail on the podcast. But basically, I had a. It was actually a really cool card. It was a quad memorabilia card of like Gretzky, Patrick Waugh, Gordie Howe, and I think someone else. And I sold it, to buy some PC cards back like a dozen years ago. And I've always not regretted it, but I've always been like, okay, I should at least pick up a Gretzky memorabilia card. And what better thing to do than do it at the expo? And of course, him, as an Oiler, fantastic. So that was my 2 expo pickups there. So not too much to write home about, but anytime you can land a Gretzky in any form, it's a good day. As far as my top 5, I just chose some stuff from the Enroth collection. Again, I don't have them in front of me right now, but I'm going to do a really good job describing them, hopefully. So I guess number 5 would be from the 2011-12 Panini Prime Premier patch. This card is numbered out of 3. For those who don't know, Panini was in the game for a good couple years in hockey. And they, in 2014, unfortunately, got out of the game and their license had expired. But until that point, they made some great cards for a good couple years, this one being one of them. And this set is built around the Premier Series that I think they call it something else now. I think the Global Series or something like that. But anyway, so the Premier Series back a few years ago was, a couple NHL teams go over there and they play some local teams. And they also play each other to kind of start the year and have a nice kickoff to the NHL season. So the Buffalo Sabres were there in 2011. And so this set kind of, acknowledges those, those series and has an actual, like the Premier Series jersey patch cut up into 3 patches and card out of 3. So it's quite rare. I've never seen another one. This came from another Enroth collector. He offered it up to me a couple years ago and I took it, and I'm really glad I did because, like I said, I haven't seen anyone since. So I could probably send you some pictures later.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have a look at my website or something like that, you'll see these cards.
Okay.
They're quite spectacular. I've seen other collectors pick it up. Really, really cool. I'm not sure if we do kind of a back and forth thing or if you want me to roll through my 5. I might just roll through my 5 and then let Eric have the nice show and tell at the end. I'm sure he has some pretty spectacular cards. So next card up on the list here, we have another really fun one. It's from, another memorabilia card. It's from 2010, 2011 in the game Between the Pipes. It is from their game used emblem set. And the gold versions are 1 of 1s. And so this one is that. It is 1 of 1 in, the fact that there's only 1, but also just the patch is a very unique 1 of a kind patch, which many cards fit that description. However, this card being a memorabilia card from his Portland Pirates days, this one actually has like a, if you take a closer look at the old Portland Pirates logo, they have the pirate wearing a little pirate hat. And on the pirate hat is a nice little skull and crossbones. So yeah, Eric can do the show and tell. And so that's the card there. Thanks for that, Eric. I really appreciate it. So yeah, like as you can see on Eric's screen there, of my card there. It's a Skull and Crossbones patch.
Here, let me put it on the big screen.
Yeah,
real
there we
quick.
go. So that's pretty cool. So I mean,
Wow.
tell me if you've seen a patch card like that. I
No.
have not.
No.
And it's it's a small window there, but it definitely, it's stunning. So I remember that card back in the day, turning hands a couple times. Like, I remember seeing it up on eBay a couple times, and I just could never do it. I was in high school. Money's hard to come by then. So just it slipped through my fingers a bunch of times. Well, I shouldn't say that. I never really had a shot. And luckily, eventually it made its way into another Enroth's collection. And a couple years ago, in a nice bulk deal, we were able to make a deal for this card, and just fantastic. I've never seen a card like it, although
Love
I am
it.
kind of biased. There's a bunch of great cards out there, with amazing patches, but this one is very unique. So
That's awesome. I love that.
amazing. Yeah. All right, I'll go the next one on my list. I guess Eric will,
I'll see if I can find it. Whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. I think Eric knows where to find this one. It is from 09-010, Enroth's rookie season. And this one, might not look like anything special, and it's not. And I think Eric kind of knows where this one's going. It's out of 25 copies. And so nothing crazy, but this one was one of my white whales for a long time. And that is the 09-10 Fleer Ultra Ice Medallion rookie of Jonas Enroth.
Ooh.
So the thing is
Sharp
with
card.
that card, it's very nice. The medallion cards have been done for years. They recently brought them back, but it doesn't look like much. However, I started collecting Enroth in 2010. I picked this one up not last year, but the year before, and I hadn't seen a single copy of these cards, like a picture of one, in over 10 years. Like, not a single, nothing. And a card out of 25, it's kind of odd. You're not seeing a single card or seeing any sales records or anything like that. I think there was one back in like 2011, but there was no picture, so I don't really know. But yeah, I hadn't seen this card at all. And then 2 years ago, I was just browsing on eBay, and again, the card's out of 25 copies total, and I saw a listing for 21 of the 25 copies in a single lot. So, which is insane.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know how that happened. So, if you've been collecting for a couple of years, you may or may not have heard of the term backdoored cards. And so this, I presume, is something like that. And so what backdoored cards is cards that are supposed to be put in packs, but for whatever reason, they're not put in packs. They're not released through the traditional sense, and they're backdoored. They're given to someone to sell. An employee might take the cards, keep them for themselves, and then eventually, years later, get rid of them. Something happens, and these cards just don't get released to the public, the way that they should have been, or ever at some point. So, I found 21 of 25 cards, and I picked them all up, all 21. So I have 21 of the 25, and that's just one there. But
it says uncirculated at the bottom, which is pretty
so I
amazing.
just put that little note on the website there. So uncirculated. I believe a couple others from this set were uncirculated as well, just through speaking with other collectors years ago. Speaking with other Enroth collectors, a lot of people think that this card didn't exist for a long time, and it was on the want list. I'm like, well, I haven't seen one, but it might not exist. I don't know. And then so picking up 21 of them, in a single shot is unreal. And then just physically, when looking at the cards, when I received them, all in its own little card box, all 21, each card has the exact same condition. They're all just pristine, every single one, the surface, the corners, everything. So for that to happen for 21 raw cards, all circulated in individual packs over the years, is very unlikely. So it just kind of leads me to believe that they were in fact uncirculated. And pretty interesting stuff. So I still am on the lookout for the other 4 to complete the run. I don't know if I'll ever see one, but here's hoping. So that would be quite the feat. And what I think happened with these cards is a couple of players were held back because they were redemptions. I think guys
Mm,
like Gustafson, Tavares, guys like that. So they were purposely held back, and we'll wait for the redemption, then we'll send them out. So I think someone made a really bad mistake and held back a couple other players that were not redemptions, and so they were never redeemed. So eventually, I guess years go by, and they just think, well, these cards aren't going to make it into packs. We need to distribute it somehow. So I don't know how officially or unofficially, I should say, they do this, but they find ways to get these cards out there. So
wow.
wherever it was, this person picked it up, and eventually it made its way into my collection. So
Love
kind of a
it.
weird story around that one, but yeah, really cool card,
Very cool.
definitely. This next one is a newer card. It is from 2022 President's Choice in the Crease. And for those who don't know, President's Choice is run by Dr. Brian Price. He is the former owner and operator of In the Game trading cards. Just a legend of the hobby, kind of like the Godfather, if you will. Been around the game for a number of years and has been, just a true staple in the card collecting community. And his recent venture is President's Choice. And so he created the In the Crease product. He usually does direct to consumer cards through his website. But he does have the occasional boxed product, which I'm sure Eric will show some more cards from that. Not that set, maybe not, but from, some of his other box sets. But this one is the In the Crease complete logo card, NHL Shield of course, Enroth. So it is just a stunning card all around. And yeah, just a big fan. And it's my
Love
first.
shields.
There it is. Yeah, love shields. So it's a
Oh,
great vertical card there, which shields are not
yep.
usually vertical, but
Nope.
this one fits the bill right there. So it's a game used LA Kings shield. It's my first game used Enroth shield in my collection. And yeah, it's a stunning card,
Wow, it's
and I'm
beautiful.
just a big fan. And I think the design, knocked it out of the park, and it's a very bold looking card, with the black background and everything like that. So it's a great card, and yeah, I'm just a big fan of it. So first, yeah, exactly, go Kings, go,
I knew he was
and
gonna love that
yeah,
card.
yeah,
And that's a
I
one of one as well.
it is a one of
It's
one, so
amazing. I love it.
it's really really cool. So yeah, it's a great card, and I'm really pleased to have it. And yeah, first and only game use shield of Van Ross. So it's really something. And my final card, um, again, I didn't put these in any particular order, but just a
Yeah,
couple
no,
cards
for
that
sure.
stuck out to me. There's so many more. You said pick five, and it was the best
It's
worst
hard. It's
email
hard.
I,
Yeah.
I, I ever received in my life because like I was looking through my cards, and and then you mentioned on the show, it's like, it could be anything, and I'm like, well, I probably should have chose more variety, but that's here nor there. You can check out the full collection on the website. But anyway, so it is another Enroth card. So, do what you will with that. But anyway,
I love it. I love
it's
seeing someone's PC.
yeah,
I
well, there we
think
go. There we go.
I personally love it. So, and it
Cool.
is hard to just pick 5, but
It
I
is
digress.
hard,
Go
but
ahead.
I liked it because it made me be a little bit choosy. So I do appreciate it, and getting creative a little bit. So this one is from 2009-10, the Cup, and it is Enross, the Cup Black rookie, one of one. And it is one of my favorite cards. It's for those who know me through the forums, it's usually my little icon there. This card, it's a really nice design card. It actually has, and we kind of discovered this a little while ago. It actually has the Stanley Cup in the background. That year, a lot of the cup designs had the cup just hanging around the background. I think it's actually at the top, the Stanley Cup. Then you can kind of see it. It's
Oh
it's kind of back
yeah,
there.
I can see it.
So it's not a
Yes.
lot of cards actually have the Stanley Cup on it. So for them to incorporate the cup in the cup, it's quite
Wow.
special. I didn't realize this until Eric picked up the Enroth card. I think he picked up a rookie patch auto of Enroth for cheap, and then he was scanning it in, and he realized the Stanley Cup's in the background, and I had no idea. So I kind of looked back through, the rookie cards, the RPA, whatever it is, and realized that, the Stanley Cup's in the background, which makes it that much more cooler. It's kind of what all these guys are playing for.
Yep.
It's the Stanley Cup. It's the best trophy in sports, in my opinion. It's the
Hands
hardest trophy
down.
to win.
Yes.
It's the name of this awesome product, and I mean, how could you not enjoy the cup? So I had to just put that in there. It's the cup. It's what everyone's chasing, whether you're a player or whether you're a collector. You're always chasing the cup, right?
Yep.
Those premier cards. So yeah, just had to highlight there. That's number 5 for me.
Love it.
And it's been a wild ride, and I can't wait out. What else does see what my collection brings in. I'm
For
actually
sure.
up to 76 Enroth 1-of-1 so far.
Wow.
So maybe I'll make it to 100. We'll see. That's kind of the goal.
I love that.
I
Thanks
know.
for sharing, Aaron.
No
Thank you.
problem. So I think
That's
Eric will have a
awesome.
little bit more, wow factor. I always love his mail days when, we get on our show. It's always surprising, but always delivers. So I'll let him take it away. And if we don't talk between now and the end of the show, this has been a really fun show.
Oh, and we will. We'll wrap it up with you guys
Cool,
for sure.
cool.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Let's see this, Eric. What do you got, my friend?
I can't wait.
All right. Well, I will kind of. I thought Aaron would have a little bit more variety player wise. So at least that.
I thought I did too.
It makes me feel a little bit better because
that's okay.
I've just got a little stack of Vezina cards here, because I don't know. I feel like sometimes I feel like I show them off too much. Sometimes I feel like I don't show them off almost at all. So, hopefully some of you guys have not seen these before and you'll enjoy. But this one, I have 6. This one is kind of context for the rest. So this was not my first Vezina card, but it's probably the most meaningful. I don't know if meaningful is the right word. Maybe sentimental card of him for me. Early on during our podcast, we were fortunate enough to have Dr. Price on and just kind of share about his journey going through the hobby and all of the work that he did with various manufacturers over the years. And of course, I think probably the main thing that he is known for is purchasing Vezina's goalie pads and using them in cards. So even just kind of having a conversation about what was that like and, what went into that and all of that. And again, like I said, this was not my first Vezina card, but from that conversation, it really just kind of inspired me to say, hey, I would really like to do a card with Dr. Price for my collection. And for context for the card, one of my favorite sets ever is 0304 In the Game Used Signature Series Triple Memorabilia, which some of you might know what that looks like right away. Some of you might not. Obviously, you'll see the design in a second, but it's just a design that I think was just such a clean look. They were obviously triple memorabilia cards that used 3 different types of memorabilia on the card, which is something I really enjoy, just seeing different types of stuff on the same card. It's cool to have jersey, patch, whatever, but that's still all jersey material.
Mm-hmm.
So having a little bit of everything on the same card to me is just like a next level type of thing. And so I always loved that specific year of that set just because of the design. And over the years, put together that entire set of those original 0304 cards. So, again, fast forward to fall of 2020, we had just had him on and we were talking about Vezina stuff. And, I was thinking, how cool would it be to have a Vezina card with that design? Almost 20 years later, 15, 20 years later. And so he was willing to make it work and make a triple memorabilia card of Vezina that uses pad, skate, and stick on the same card.
Let's see if I can get that. Yeah,
Amazing.
that's awesome. Wow.
I remember you talking me through kind of the process of what Brian had to do to kind of.
It was involved.
Because these older designs are so hard to do because, it's one thing having like a digital file of a new set, pulling something from like 20 years ago basically is like, it's not easy. So to get that thing brought back to life is amazing. Like, I love that card so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's a
essentially,
beauty.
back in that time period, the early 2000s, he, I think this is pretty much how most companies did it, but they essentially had all of their designs stored on not actually a floppy disk, but something kind of similar to that. And essentially, the technology is not really accessible anymore. Like they don't have access to the computers and the stuff to actually access those original files. So literally, he had somebody on his design team recreate the design to make the card,
Wow.
which is just next level. And that's one thing that Dr. Price has been known for over the years is his made to order cards and being willing to work with collectors and make exactly what they want. So this card is no different, obviously. And what was kind of a cool follow up to that, is since we had gone through the process of recreating the design, and one thing that people might not understand is in order to have memorabilia on a card, you have to have a die cut for those locations on the card. Well, of course, obviously, kind of a diagonal design like that is not overly common. So, in addition to recreating the design, also had to custom order a die cut to make the card.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of expense that goes into all of that. So, he very wisely made a good decision to end up making more of these cards of other players, utilizing the die cut that had to be ordered and stuff. So a lot of other people were actually able to have these cards made for their collections of their favorite players too. So yeah, just
That's
a
a
really,
monster card.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe it's, to the best of my knowledge, there are only 6 cards out there that have all 3 memorabilia types out
Wow.
there. So yeah, definitely a very meaningful card for sure, and grateful that he was willing to do that. And one kind of fun tidbit that if you can request that he actually signs the back of the card instead of just printing his name on the back. So
I love that
it's
part. I
actually
love that.
signed by
That's
No
him on the back.
way. Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's
Just
so
kind
cool.
of,
It's such a small
Wow.
thing, but I think it's a great touch. I like
Yeah,
that. I like
that's
that
an
you asked
awesome.
for that.
yep.
Wow, I love that.
Yep. So
That's an
then
amazing card.
all of the subsequent cards of other players are also hand signed by him on the back as well. So just another nice personalized touch that he's always willing to go to that next level for collectors. So yeah, and I think pretty much all of this stuff is actually Dr. Price. None of this is Upper Deck. So some people might say, well, why are we not seeing Upper Deck stuff? Well, when it's Vesna, Upper Deck doesn't have any of his memorabilia, so it's kind of hard for them to do that. So, as I referenced earlier, kind of in the lead up to that, obviously he purchased Vesna's goalie pads, and that was in 2000. And the first ever set that he ended up using the pads in was 2000 Be a Player memorabilia. And it's kind of, I would say most people would say that this is like the one of the holy grail Vesna cards because it's the first. So it's there's only 20 of them that were made. So it's the first ever Vesna pad card
Oh wow.
from
That's a
2000.
Amazing.
and that's a good size too.
Yep.
It's iconic.
Definitely
Wow.
a generous piece there.
And the
and
red stitching, it's hard to
Yeah,
see, but
I was just
like,
about to say the stitching in it.
it's in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, that's so sick.
Aaron, I'll allow you to talk a little bit more about this card too.
Well, it's kind of funny because I knew that Eric, really wanted that card, for his collection, and so it was actually found at the expo. I was wandering around, looking at a couple booths, and I saw that card in someone's display, and I'm like, oh man, like that's a big one right there. No idea I'd come across that one, and so I took a picture of it, and kind of texted Eric real quick, being like, dude, like check this out, like it's here, like. And then we quickly made a deal, and Eric and I kind of figured things out on the fly, and I was able to go home with it that day. Man, it was kind of funny because that card is probably the most expensive card I had like paid for ever, and probably ever will. And the fact that I had it in my possession, even if it was just for a short time before I sent it to Eric. But I kind of put it in my backpack and kind of got out of there fast, like I made like a drug deal or something, because it was like I had like this precious cargo on me, and it's like I don't want to
Mhm.
lose it. I don't want anything to happen. Someone saw me put in my bag, like I don't know, right? So, just didn't think a card like that would come into my possession, and so and partly it was because, man, if I lose this thing, I be the worst thing ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, I got the card, and my expo day was done. I'm like, luckily it was near the end of the day, so I'm like, nope, I'm done. Like that's it. I'm going home right now. And yeah, got back, with the card safe and sound, and yeah, sent it off to Eric, the next day. But like I enjoyed it for about 24 hours, and yeah, it's quite a for those who've been around a while, for those who maybe collect Vesna or just even vintage memorabilia. They kind of know this card. It is really iconic. It's a really not so much for the sense of you know the memorabilia, like even though it's old, it's amazing, but just more like hockey card history in a way.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
it's it's another level. All these cards that we own are pieces of history, but this one is just sort of, yes, it's a piece of history, but when it comes to card collecting, this
Mhm.
was something that back in the day made waves. It was, a guy like Vesna, his only set of pads he ever wore. That's the rumor, right? And you take that, you put it into cards, it caused quite the stir. They
Mhm.
used to belong to the Hall of Fame, and then they made it available to the public, and Dr. Price was able to scoop these up. Forget which episode number it is, but Dr. Price actually explained the story of him getting these pads on our podcast. So it was a really great exclusive interview that we did with them, and just a great guy. So yeah, but the fact that he created these cards, it still sours people, believe it or not, all these years later. So the fact
Yeah.
that these things are kicking around, and people still have a comment or two, might not be the nicest, but they still comment on this card because it is that, I guess, infamous, shall we say. So,
It's very
the
polarizing.
fact that, yes, it is. So, the fact that I was able to help Eric, get this card for his Vesna collection is amazing.
Yeah.
And the fact I mentioned earlier of it being his only set of paths, it's amazing.
That's unreal.
It is
You
unreal.
know you know what else is very unique about this card that I've never really seen before is the encapsulation.
Yep. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
Yeah.
make
yeah,
note of
because
Very
that.
that's like
unique.
the older version. I
Yeah.
think there's a good couple of them slapped
I
that
love
way
that.
because they were, you know, I guess even back then, people kind of knew, condition aside, like, man, I got to get this thing slabbed. This is an
Yep.
important card in more ways than one. So a lot of these original Vesnas back then are slabbed up. As soon as they were, received by the collector, early 2000s, they were slabbed because they just knew this is an important card. And it's not like today where everything gets graded. It was a little different back then. So to have a memorabilia card like that is it's something.
If you think about it, Eric, you're holding a piece of Hockey Hall of Fame like in your hand
It's
right now.
crazy.
Yep.
Something that was in the Hall of Fame that you now own in your personal PC is pretty awesome. And it's a mint 9. Like, that's a monster grade for, I'm guessing it's a little bit on the thicker side because of the pad in it. But yeah, nice pickup. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if PSA did things a little bit differently back then, but that's definitely only the grade for the front of the card. Um, these cards are
Strange.
notorious for
I didn't know
having
that.
Wow. That's very strange.
it is, but these cards are notorious for having really bad edge wear on the back, and this one is no
Mhm.
different. So you'll see these cards, they're pretty much all graded 8, 9, or 10, but they're really not in that great of shape.
Wow.
But yeah, going back to the slab, it is this big because at the time they only had, the normal size slabs
Mhm.
for traditional thickness of cards. So obviously, this being a memorabilia card, it's thicker. So they kind of had to figure out a way to do that. So that's why it's this monstrous
Love it.
slab, and it's a pain to store and all that.
Oh,
But
there's no doubt. It's a good display
um,
piece.
It is, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of interesting. I'm glad Aaron mentioned this too. Is you kind of know the provenance of that card based on if it's in one of those slabs. One of Vesna's grandsons is a huge collector of his cards, primarily back in the early 2000s, but he still has a lot of stuff today. But at one point, he owned 16 of the 20 copies of that card, and
Wow.
he was the one that submitted all of them to PSA. So if you have one of them that
No
are
kidding.
in this slab, that means that his grandson used to own this card.
That's crazy. I forgot about that.
Smokes. Wow.
The
Yep.
story of this card gets bigger and
It's
bigger.
yes. Wow, that's epic. That's
Pretty cool.
It's a very unique card to have in the collection and with a lot of history with it. Wow.
Yep. So there's that one. Definitely a very iconic card in the hobby, and I'd been looking for quite a while and was kind of just trying to be patient for the right copy. And yeah, needless to say, when Aaron sent me that text, my jaw just kind of hit the floor and was like, all right, we got to figure this out. Like,
Do you
can't leave without
remember
it.
what you were doing? I've never asked you this, but do you remember what you were doing when you got the text? And like were you in the middle of something and you were like, I gotta go, I gotta figure this out?
Fortunately, it was a Saturday, so I was just at home. I don't think we were really doing anything that day. It was kind of just a lazy, relaxed day. So yeah, I think I was just sitting around and looked down at my phone and was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
I gotta go in the other room, pick my jaw off the floor, and then I gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
It was a good day. It was a good day, that's for sure. So yeah, moving on to the next one. These next two are incredibly unique cards, even more so. Well, maybe not more. Well, arguably more so than those ones. I would argue that this is potentially my favorite card that I own, just because of the coolness factor. It's not the most valuable. It's not the most scarce memorabilia type or anything, but just the coolness factor of it. There's something to me about skate lace cards. It's just really iconic memorabilia. Hockey, you use skates. It's a unique piece of equipment for the sport. So yeah, I have a skate lace card of Vesna. And I love how Dr. Price makes these and kind of crisscrosses them to recreate how it would be on the skate.
That's so sick.
Look at the
I
age on
love
that.
Yeah, so it's obviously
my God.
incredibly old leather. It's extremely delicate.
Yes.
But yeah, there are, I think, maybe 2 or 3 other skate lace cards of Vesna, but they all are just like very small fragments because they broke over the years. So this is by far the most skate lace material for him that you will ever see on a card. So
wow, that's amazing.
Just the coolness factor of that is incredibly special for sure.
I love it. Wow. What a monster card.
Yep. So definitely one of my faves there. And then in the same deal from the same guy, I also got this card, which I consider this to be the most unique memorabilia card that you will ever see. And Aaron knows exactly what this is.
It's crazy.
But back in the day, over 100 years ago, when they were first coming up with, different innovations for equipment and stuff like that, of course, we know today that goalie sticks are much thicker, for the paddle and everything. Back in the day, when that was kind of first being done, it was a very rudimentary process where you just take a normal player stick, take an extra piece of wood, and nail them together. So it was, a very rudimentary type of stick. So another type of memorabilia that Dr. Price was able to acquire, I think around the same time, around 2000, was one of Vesna's game used sticks. And I think this was maybe, let me check the back, 2020. I think it was like fall of 2020. He came across some of the nails from the stick. And he only had 2 of them. So there's only 2 of these cards out there, but it's literally one of the nails from his stick to create the goalie stick.
Oh,
That's
wow.
So sick. Like, it's amazing.
Wow.
That's
what
such
a
history
unique
lesson.
Yeah. That has got to be, yes, one of the most unique hockey memorabilia cards I've ever seen. I've never seen that card in my life.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Pretty cool.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Holy smokes,
It
man.
takes memorabilia to the next level. Like I remember,
Yeah,
like
it
we were
does.
talking about these, nails with Dr. Price. He's like, yeah, like I had the stick and these nails, and I'm, I don't know what to do with them. Like I'm surprised he kept them for all these years.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That
So, I
is
mean,
so cool.
it's funny that it's just, a normal nail, no one would really think of anything of it back at that time.
Sure.
But I love the historical element of, this was
Yeah.
a incredibly innovative thing, and to have that from his stick is obviously just remarkable. And like I said, there's only the two of them that Dr. Price had. So there will
Wow.
never be other ones that come out later or anything like that. It's just the two. So that is the scarcest type of Vesna memorabilia in the world as far as cards go. So
That's amazing.
definitely very humbling to own something like that for sure. Yeah, just a very cool card. Got two left. Next one, again, Aaron knows all about these, but if you guys have ever heard of the product called Leaf Pearl, you might know that all of the cards come in like their own little jewelry bags. It's just kind of a nice touch that they do because it's an extremely high-end product. Boxes are usually like $2,000 US per box. They usually only put it out every 2 or 3 years. So it is cream of the crop type of stuff. And what they did back in the 2021 release was a set called Pearls of History, where they would take the buckles off of goalie pads and use them for this set. So they were able to make a couple of different Vesna ones. So that's one of the buckles off of his pads.
So
Holy
crazy, man.
smokes. No way. Wow, that is a monster card right there.
Crazy.
Holy smokes, Eric. Man, you like literally looking at Hockey Hall of Fame type memorabilia with this Vesna collection. Wow. That is amazing. I'm pretty familiar with a lot of cards. I've never seen this one ever.
They are unique.
And
that's
you
for
have the
sure.
one of one, so wow, that
Crazy.
is amazing.
Yep.
One of the best
So
cards I've ever
Very
seen.
nice pickup.
they
Yes, hands down.
they did do a few different colors in the set, so there is a gold one of one as well. So
Okay.
there's the two copies of the card in the product.
Okay.
And I believe
This is the emerald.
Yep, correct. Yep.
Okay.
And Dr. Price and I have kind of had this conversation a few times over the years. We believe that between the two pads, there were 3 buckles on each pad. So there'd be 6 total buckles out there in existence. So Leaf
Wow.
put 2 of them into this product. For those not aware, Leaf bought in the game from Dr. Price back in 2014. Part of that process was they got a lot of the memorabilia that Dr. Price had. So yeah, they had been sitting on these buckles for about 6 years, 7 years, something
Wow.
like that, and finally put them into these cards. So yeah, obviously, like I knew that they were coming, and kind of one of my goals for my Vesna PC is to have every single type of memorabilia represented. So
Mhm.
obviously with pad, yeah, you have the leather, but then there's a lot more that goes along with that, and same with
Mhm.
the skates and stuff. The stick is obviously a lot more straightforward, but
Mhm.
yeah. So obviously, when I knew that these were coming out, just being able to find one, let alone acquire one, was kind of a pipe dream. But it just worked out, and timing was perfect with finances and everything. Was able
Mhm.
to make it work out. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that's kind of like the holy grail of hockey memorabilia. So
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, humbling to own doesn't even begin to describe it, really.
Yeah. I'd say so. That's a monster card. Holy smokes. Wow, it's beautiful.
So that'll do it for the Vesna memorabilia. And then the last card, this is one that I'm sure most of you guys have seen before, but it's still a very iconic and special card, is a copy of his rookie card from 1911-12.
No
Old school.
way.
Old
I
school.
love
love
it.
that.
Yeah, I
Iconic,
got it
iconic design, everything.
100%. I must say that I need a few of these in my PC. I do not have. A huge fanatic over mini cards.
You can get the reprint version of these actually, because you like
It's true.
reprints.
Yeah.
So I actually have a full set of the C55 reprints, which
Do
is
you
really
really?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They came out with them, I think, forget what year it was, but it came with a book. You you can get a book, and then they come with the reprint set. So they sell here and there. You can get the individual ones. So if you ever want like a mini Vesna rookie, the reprint, you can
Yeah.
grab it for your collection. It's so cool.
Pretty good grade on that too, right? What is it? 1.5 on it?
1.5. Yeah, there's kind of, I
Yeah.
don't know if you can see, there's like it doesn't really show up too well, but there's a crease kind of running through his name, which is why it's that low. But
Yep.
the eye appeal for it being 1.5 is really strong, which is what I really appreciate about it. And I mentioned him earlier, but I actually bought this off of his grandson.
Wow.
Trying to remember, that was spring of 2015. So we're coming up on 10 years that I've owned this card.
The centering is amazing on it.
Yes. Yep.
Right to left, top to bottom. That card is very centered. I get that it's going to have the soft edges and everything, just
sure
how old the card is.
Over
but,
like 100 years old.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's going to age.
100%. But the centering and the coloring on that card still pops. Wow, it's beautiful. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's a big, man. You got quite the collection there in the Vesna. I applaud you. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite things to collect. I mean, I think we kind of touched on it earlier, but just like the thing about him specifically is just like the mystique. It's like you hold a piece of his and it's just like, wow, like this is just the coolest thing. Because he was such a great goalie, really, the first great goalie, a lot of people would say, him and Clint Benedict, but then of course him passing away, right, while he was still playing, basically, just kind of adds to that, mystique level. And just, you hold a piece and you just kind of think about, that whole story. And it's really, really special for sure.
Wow. I don't know how I'm going to follow up on that, boys. That's a monster collection that I've ever seen. I
think
appreciate
Eric
you
wins,
showing.
so
Yeah.
Like it's not a competition, but it is an Eric
No
won.
competition, but that's easy win in the Eric column, I would say.
So Aaron does have a couple Vesna memorabilia cards himself. So
okay, so you guys are really
just
rolling
didn't make
with
an
this.
appearance today.
Well, I will slide myself over here again. I don't know how I'm going to follow that up. We're going to see a theme. So I tried to pick a couple different cards, but a lot of it is PC stuff. So, like I said, I literally have 3 boxes of cards next to me, just filled with all sorts of stuff. But these are the 5 that I picked. So one is actually from TCB, who was in the chat. He sent me a mail day, and I sent him some cards a while back. And I always try to load him up with as many cool Buffalo Sabre cards that I can. Again, not being a huge high-end collector, you kind of feel not bad, but you want to be able to send them sweet stuff. I did get in a break where I pulled a Future Watch auto of it wasn't Owen, but it was who was it? I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he'll tell you. But Owen Power, I think it was. Owen Power, or anyway, sent him that. So he's like, I gotta send you something. I'm like, no, you don't, man. You don't have to send me anything. Like, don't even worry about it. But he did anyway. It's the lowest numbered Crosby card I have in my collection. It's actually from 23-24 credentials. It's really hard to see the numbering. Even in perfect situation, you're not going to be able to see it, but
Ooh, the purple.
Oh,
Nice.
those
It's
are
the
nice.
purple 3 of 10,
The beauty.
and it's the lowest number
a great
card I
card.
have. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one
And
before. It looks great.
let's see if like
Purple
the
is my
numbering,
favorite color.
the numbering, yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
it's
do.
you can
pretty
kind of see
sweet.
it.
It's like, let me see if there we go.
you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, you see it. That's
So
amazing. That's a cornerstone right there.
thank you. He had said to me, because we text all the time through Instagram. He's like, yeah, as soon as I saw the card out of 10, like I had to get it for you. I'm like, hold on. I literally dropped
It's
what I was
amazing.
doing. I went to the pile and I looked through. I'm like, oh my God, he did. He sent me a 3 of 10 card. And I started
Amazing.
just frantically texting him back and forth, like, oh my God, bro. I said
That's what it's all about, man.
it was so hard to see because of the purple inlay that it has. I was like, I honestly didn't notice it. And I know I got a video coming up about the mail day, and I know I gave it like props, but I'm like, I hope that I gave it like major props because I honestly had no idea. And I was like, kept thanking him. So I really appreciate that TCB monster card for myself. No particular order on how these are going to go, but being a Toronto fan, wearing Matt Sundin. Oh snap! Okay, David, I appreciate this the score updates. That's amazing. Huge hockey fans. David's a big Nashville. He's getting a huge mail
Nice.
day for me, loaded. Matt Sundin was my favorite player.
He was the best.
And
He just came up with a book.
did he really?
He did, yeah. He has a new
No
book out
way.
now. Yeah.
Oh, sick. I'm gonna have
He was-
to get that.
Oh, it looks great.
So growing up in Windsor, you're either Toronto, Detroit, or Montreal. At least that's the way it was when I was a kid. I did grow up there he is. There he is.
Kudos to you, sir.
TCB 3 of 10. I was just telling him the story that you mentioned the 10 card, and I honestly didn't notice it because of the purple. Appreciate you, brother. Means a ton to me. He knows that. He's a great dude, such a kind person in the card community. But I grew up a Detroit fan. I switched to the Leafs just after like 2002. And so I had to get this card. And it's Matt Sundin
Those are
autograph
awesome.
card.
Doesn't have too many out there. That's wonderful.
It's true.
Yeah. Beautiful signature. It's 1999 in the game. I almost wish that it was maybe in gold just because of you can see this auto at least, but I love it. It stays in my collection forever. Never get rid of it. It's just a monster card for me to have. One of my all-time favorites.
Those early 2000s in the game autos were always awesome. I loved
Yeah.
those cards as a kid.
Yeah.
They were great.
Beautiful foil on it. This next one, as you are too, Alex, as you are too, buddy, you know that, is 2021 MVP. I am a sucker for MVP, not so much anymore. They've really, it's really entry level, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good way for someone to get into collecting. So I
Great for kids.
appreciate it for what it is, right? I pulled this card. It's the biggest
Wow.
Matthews card like I've pulled. And it's the Colors and Contour purple 1 of 3.
Ooh,
Oh
That's a
man, that's
beautiful
great.
card.
Oh wow.
Those are
Yeah,
awesome.
those ones out of 3 were just stunning. That's a great card.
Thank
As a
you.
Leafs guy,
Yeah. So
amazing. Hang on to that thing.
I am. I've tried to find like others online because it would be pretty cool to get 2 of 3, 3 of 3. It's in amazing condition. I immediately one-touched it. I didn't want to risk putting it in a sleeve. Although what I do now is I cut the I don't buy and I want to, but there's a sleeve company that Shells.
Yeah,
they
Zero
already have
likes
the pre-
those. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Were
like
they
I
ever
saw
able-
those at the expo. It was like a I forget what it was called, but I guess like a not a grading sleeve, but a sleeve that you can kind of put it in so it doesn't mess up the
Yes.
corners. Yeah, and it's like
Pre-cut
pre-cut.
corners.
Yeah.
So all the BCW ones I have, before I put my cards in, it's so silly. I go
It's not.
through and I cut them
It's not silly at
because
all.
I recently just pulled a PMG, my first PMG, Quinn Hughes 43 of 100. And metal is very known for chipping anyway.
They are
So
delicate.
yeah, very delicate. So it does have a soft corner, but I would comfortably say, and I'm not a grading expert, but with the condition of the card, no surface scratches and only one soft corner, I would say it's a solid 9. Because I think you get one corner ding and it's typically like a 9 from what I can see. But yeah, that's a monster card for my personal self, Leafs guy, Matthews guy. Absolutely love it. I think it just pops with the color on it. Thanks, David. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Breaking out all
And
the purple stuff for me. I love it.
yeah. And this is let's go with this one because I do have a GOAT card. Even though this is my main PC guy, this is the only autograph card I have. It's from 2007-8 trilogy. It's the honorary scripted swatch. It's 17 out of 50 Crosby.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
that's great.
Beauty.
Wonderful.
Best
card.
autograph in the game right now.
100%.
I agree.
That just speaks for itself. You say no more. Crosby auto mem card.
Yeah.
Doesn't
There's
get much
also
better than that.
something I love about that card. I love Crosby cards that show him in the pre-Reebok Edge jerseys. So he was only wearing that jersey as a rookie and in 06-07. So
Yes.
there's not a whole lot of cards of him pictured in that style of jersey. So any card that he's pictured in those kind of just hits a little bit different in my book.
Yeah. Love it. It's, thicker card, so definitely some soft edges at that you would pretty much expect out of a lot of these memorabilia cards. It can be tough. I'm sure there's 9s and maybe even 110 out there, but it's not going anywhere. It's a personal PC card. So yeah, that's one. The GOAT card that I have of the other PC guy. It's a monster, I think. It's a Ultimate Collection. It's a 0506 rookie signature
Oh yeah,
Ovechkin.
that's the one right there.
That was such
Fantastic.
a beautiful set. Too.
Was a great set.
Great set.
Ultimate, just they did it.
Yeah.
Still do, but their on card stuff. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Definitely a 10 auto. No doubt in my mind there. It's,
It's clean.
clean. The card's in really good condition. Again, something that I think I got this card back in 07. So what I paid for it to what the value is now is
Little different.
far below. I think I paid, definitely under $150 on this card, which is insane now because most of his autographs go for $2+. Couple comps on this one. He does have some better, vertical autograph patches and things of that nature, but still really valuable card that I absolutely love in the collection. So those would be my top. I'll show a bonus one for you fellas that I just recently picked up. Sorry, I'm off screen here, but I don't know how hyped you guys are on rookies, but I've had the hot hand for Bedard. And
I think Aaron's gonna like this one.
Okay.
I'm a Hawks fan, so
Okay. Sweet. So I got almost every rookie card that you can think of. Star rookies, marquee rookie, 2 premieres that I want to get graded. Got the portrait, and I do have his young gun. But let me see if I can find it. I thought this one was cool too. This is EPAC
Yep.
exclusive.
Champs are nice.
Champs,
like
yeah.
those are great.
Pulled the Tatari premium prospects out of metal, breaking news. But I did splurge on this one. Call me crazy. Again, soft spot for MVP. So just because that's what I collected back in the day when you could get like quad patches, but colors and
Oh, yeah.
contour gold,
That's great.
number 98 out of
Oh.
250.
Oh, that's
Nice.
the one. Yep, that's a great card.
I approve.
Yep, that's going to be something.
So bonus card. It is 24-25. So sophomore year, but I'm a sucker for sophomore year cards as well in the PC. But I wanted to throw a quick bonus card in there for you guys.
That was
and,
great, and this whole thing was
thank you.
fantastic. Super fun.
Thank you.
Thanks
I
for having us on.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on.
No problem.
What I'm gonna do is I will make sure I'm gonna edit and add your website in the description when it posts.
Perfect.
And I'll go through and I'll add a few of the links. So if you guys are watching this afterwards, definitely check out Center Ice Cardcast with Eric and Aaron, a little tongue twister there. I will add all their descriptions once the video posts. And yeah, I appreciate you guys coming and thanks so much for being on. It was a blast.
Thanks for having us. Great time.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us. Yeah, anytime you want to talk cards, it's always fun to do. So and your cards were great. So thanks for the show and tell and just all the
Thanks.
insightful questions. And yeah, I loved it. Super fun.
And I'll end on this. I always thank the chat. I try and give them a shout out, obviously at the beginning, but the people who came out and are active in the chat always makes it fun. David, Hoser, TCB, Jay's Mix, appreciate you coming out. Papa and Baby Bear came out. Lon Espinoza, what a great guy he is. Tripolic, scrolling up, I know that Julie stopped by, which was really cool to see her. Like I said, she's a sweetheart. And just making sure Zach Sports Cards and Collectibles, he has a great show as well. Hoser, if you haven't checked him out on YouTube, check out his shorts. He does shorts only, and he's ripping Series 1 right now, his second box. And he's very, how do I say this, Hoser? He's controlled. 1 pack a day. That's it. I couldn't do it. He's brave. He's
neither.
A brave man. So kudos to you, my friend. He's an awesome brother. And I want to say one more thing before we go, because we're almost at that 2-hour mark. Your display in the background is amazing, and I'm going to tell you why. I created my dad. I bought 2 of those, and I put the 100 greatest players that I personally like, and I put them in your display, that display case you have in the background, Aaron.
Oh, the frame there.
Yes.
Yeah, I got that from Michael's.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a great place to shop. So yeah, I got that as a nice Christmas gift. I think it was last year, and so I just picked some goalie cards that I enjoyed and threw them in the frame there. It's really a great gift for anybody, especially with the holidays coming up. And yeah,
I love it.
Great gift for me. So I loved it.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
I love it. It's amazing. Of course, Eric, I'm not going to leave you out of this. I love that you brought a jersey because everyone always thinks I'm laying on the floor on my Saturday night shows. It's not. It's just a decorative wall. But I wanted to bring at least a jersey in the background, so I appreciate you having those in the back as well. But yeah, I'll let you guys get going. We'll obviously say our goodbyes backstage. But thanks, everyone, for coming out, and we'll see you in the next one.